Exploring your passion sounds like a dream, right? We see the follow your heart quotes everywhere. But nobody talks about what happens when your own brain feels like it's working against you. I'm Daniel, and for me, the biggest barrier isn't a lack of drive, it's dyslexia. Imagine trying to chase a dream when the very acts of reading a textbook or remembering a simple list feel like trying to catch water with a sieve. Words jump, memories slip, and sometimes I have to read the same paragraph 5 times just to break down what it actually means. But here's the thing. Struggle isn't a stop sign. It's a pivot point. Currently, I'm a lifeguard. It's high stakes and physical, but my sights are set further. I'm about to start my personal training course, which is the next vital stepping stone toward my ultimate goal, becoming a physiotherapist. Going from the guy who struggles to read to the guy who needs to master complex human anatomy is terrifying. But passion isn't about being the best at the start. It's about being the one who refuses to quit when it gets hard. If you think your current job defines you or your struggles limit you, look at these 5 people who took massive detours before finding their true calling. Harrison Ford, before he was Han Solo, he was a carpenter. He was literally building cabinets for directors when he got plucked for a role because he was already in the room. Hugh Jackman, long before Wolverine, he was a clown at kids' parties and a paid teacher. He says teaching gave him the ability to command a room, a skill that made him a star. Danny DeVito, he didn't start in Hollywood. He was a cosmetician who styled hair for the deceased in a funeral home. Whoopi Goldberg, she also worked in a morgue as a beautician and held a job as a phone sex operator. She used those experiences to build the characters that won her EGOT. And Steve Buscemi. Before he was one of the most iconic actors in cinema, he was a New York City firefighter. After he became famous, he actually went back to volunteer with his old engine company during 9/11s. Since it's 2026, we have better tools than ever to bridge the gap. If you're like me and struggle with reading and retention, here is how I'm tackling my personal training course and my path to physio. First, I focus on the big picture. I don't start with details. If I understand the why of a muscle movement, the how of those long, complicated names, becomes much easier to anchor in my memory. Next, I use visual and hands-on mapping. I use mind maps and diagrams instead of long lists of notes. As a lifeguard, I learn by doing. I apply that same logic to my PT studies by physically practicing movements as I read about them. Then there's audio pilot. I use text-to-speech tools. Hearing the information while I follow along helps the words stay on the page instead of swimming around. I also use the Pomodoro method. I study in 25-minute bursts with 5-minute breaks. It stops my brain from overheating when I'm trying to break down complex text. And finally, acceptance over perfection. I've realized that reading things 3 or 4 times isn't a failure. It's just my process. Pacing is key. Passion isn't a straight line. It's a messy, difficult, beautiful journey from being a lifeguard to a personal trainer, and eventually, a physiotherapist. My dyslexia is part of that journey. It's the friction that makes the fire. If you're struggling with your own hurdles, remember, you aren't slow, you're just processing the world differently. If this video helped you or resonated with your own struggles, hit that like button and subscribe to join the journey. Comment down below what you want to see me tackle next, whether it's more study tips or my first day on the PT course. As always, I'm Daniel, and this is TRPL EAFK. I'll see you in the next one.